Okay. Still on the open.
The second one was over. On the second one. She was back there.
You may be seated. Let the record reflect that we're back in session at County Court 1102 Jefferson County, Judge Terrence Holmes presiding. The case that we have before us is cause number 324425. And the case is filed the state of Texas versus Courtney Corrine Quibido. We have Ms. Quibido, who's present in court with her attorney, Mr. Jared Gilthorpe, and we have also present for the state assistant district attorneys. Sitting first chair is Mr. Daniel Boyd, and sitting second chair is Ms. Julie Maxey. Let the record also reflect that the jury is now present in the courtroom. State, are you ready to proceed?
State is ready, Your
Defense, are you ready to proceed?
We're ready.
Okay. And as of yesterday, Mr. Boyd had passed the witness. Is that correct, Mr. Boyd?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Gilthorpe, the witness is yours. May we call our witness, Mr. Garrett Verdine? Mr. Verdine, Officer Verdine, you could have your seat. Yesterday, you were sworn, you're still under oath.
Yes, sir.
And you could adjust the mic and the chair. We- Oh. Hold on a minute. Oh, he already disconnected. Oh, that's on there. Yeah, take it off of your screen on there. Good. I mean,
Do you want this broadcast audio as well?
Yeah.
Will audio come from the TV speakers?
oh, I don't think so. Does it? I think that, isn't there some speakers down there? Might need, see if they could assist you.
Good afternoon. Thanks for coming back. Yesterday, you testified that the reason you were called out was for an unwanted person, is that right?
No, sir, I believe it's for a civil disagreement of some sort.
Something like that, that
Yeah, I don't know the exact.
something about an
call.
eviction or something like that.
Correct.
And when you got there, the guy that's on the screen, is that who you talked with at first?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And who's your understanding of who that was?
To my knowledge, and I've actually spoken with him in the past, to my knowledge, he's the owner of that property.
Okay. And what was the gist of your conversation with him?
Generalized, he wanted her gone. He didn't really care for Miss Quibdo. Kind of wanted her off the property there.
And what was your response to him?
I informed him basically that if they were married, which I think he, if I recall correctly, I think he told me they might have been married or in a relationship, whatever the case was. And as far as details of that conversation, I don't recall. But I'm pretty sure I told him that he could not just kick her out of the house. You have to file an eviction. So.
Would it be fair to say that you told him, hey, look, I deal with criminal matters. This is not a criminal matter. You're going to have to take that up through a civil court through an eviction process.
Right. Yes, sir.
Would that be a fair summary of what you told him?
Yes.
Okay. So at that point, you then went back to talk to the people in the other, in the residence who were living there, right?
Yes.
Had they been alleged of committing a crime?
No, sir.
Okay. Were they under suspicion by you of committing a crime?
No.
Okay. Through your training as a peace officer, sorry, my shoes untied, I'm tripping over myself. Are you, through your training, what are the three different types of encounters that an officer has with citizens?
I mean, consensual call to service or, I'm not sure you have to.
Well, I'll tell you, we have encounters, investigative detentions, and arrests, right? Are you familiar with that language through your training?
Right.
Could you explain to the jury what an arrest is?
An arrest when someone commits a crime and they're placed in custody for said crime.
Okay. What about a detention? What's the difference between an arrest and a detention?
Someone can be detained if they're under suspicion that they have been committing a crime or that criminal activity is afoot.
And then what is an encounter?
Encounter is just the day-to-day interaction. You or I were walking on sidewalk and we say hello, it's just an encounter. So,
Okay. And so an encounter is voluntary on part of the citizen, their interaction with you, right?
Right.
And so you just testified that the defendant, she was not under any suspicion of committing a crime and had not been accused of committing a crime, right?
Right.
And so when you enter her house, what type of interaction would that have been? A detention, an arrest, or an encounter?
I mean, it was an encounter.
It was an encounter. Through your training, what is the main principle that defines an encounter and differentiates that from a detention?
Definition.
Okay, would it be fair to say that the biggest difference between a detention and an encounter is that through an encounter, the person is voluntarily and is always free to end the communication with you?
Correct.
Okay. So when you knocked on her door and you told her she had to come out there and talk to you and she didn't have a choice, would you agree with me that at that point she was detained?
Yeah.
So an unlawful detention.
No, I mean, she also needed to be, I mean, she was being advised of some civil issues that she needed to take care of. And there was also a situation going on where this guy wanted her to, be informed of certain things. And so I don't know that it was unlawful. And if she would have went back inside, she'd come back inside.
Well, that's not what you told her. When she didn't come to the door, you told her, come out here or something. Here, we'll find it.
I believe it said it's not an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does that sound like it was optional for her to not talk to you?
No.
So she was detained without being under suspicion and without being accused of a crime. And as we watched in the video yesterday, it wasn't until about minute 23, 24 that you learned she had a warrant. Is that right?
No, if you go back on this as well, I've also had previous encounters again with Ms. Bodo in the past. Okay. Knew that she was from Orange County. So if you look at these things, like I said, I called her out there and I checked her name pretty quickly, if you recall, under pretty reasonable suspicion that she had warrants out of Orange County. She told me her last name was Shepherd, so I didn't know if something had changed or whatever the case was. I knew her name to be.
But you didn't know she had a warrant.
No, I did not know she had a warrant.
And then we can see clearly on here that you call it in and it comes back and we can hear it that they tell you that
Right.
that she has a warrant. But that's clearly after she's been detained illegally.
Hmm.
Right?
Sure.
Then something strange happens when you go inside the house. I applaud you on your patience with the defendant. You go in the house and after you find out she's got a warrant and she's collecting her things and you're being very patient with her. But as you testified yesterday, at some point you lost your patience with her, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you will.
Around minute 34, when she's not in the room, why were you giving her husband advice that he should divorce her?
This guy had, like I said, there's been previous interaction with her and this.
Well, I understand that, but does that fall under peace officer duties to advise someone to divorce their wife?
If you'll let me explain. This guy found me at a church parking lot, not long before this call took place, within a couple of weeks prior. There was no call initiated. He just moseyed up to my truck in a golf cart, or to my police car in a golf cart, and was seeking all kinds of religious advice and so on and so forth. I advised him he probably need to go back to his house, that I wasn't his counselor, I wasn't his pastor. So long story short, he kind of, again, is this guy is just, we all saw the video. So kind of a mess, So anyways, the conversation that I had with him, no, it wasn't professional, but it was based on prior conversation we had,
And then we saw in the video that at some point she finally comes out of the house. Where was your car parked at that point?
So I'm told you it was still over at Mr. Tim's residence, close to his residence in the driveway.
And is that the only way in and out of that residence?
The driveway? Yeah, but there's a branch off, I guess, if you will,
Okay.
for their residence versus Tim's.
Okay. And so when she left the residence and you grabbed her, was she headed in the direction of your car?
She really was kind of just headed out. I don't know where she didn't know where my car was at, to be frank with you. So there's a tree line right there that separates their house from each other.
Well, there would only be one. If she were to leave, that she'd have to go by your car.
No, sir. No, my car was parked westward of their house. She could have left straight south of that and never even seen my vehicle. So.
I'll pass it away.
Mr. Boyd?
Now, Deputy Burton, the complainant there, who you spoke to when you arrived, he asked you to go speak with the defendant and her husband, is that correct? And as far as you're aware, he's the actual owner of that property. Is that correct? And actually, prior on the video, it looks like we wanted to potentially go over there and talk to him as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
It seems like you wanted to, and correct me if I'm wrong, to keep him from any kind of incident occurring between the two groups, that you went ahead and suggested that you be the one who goes over there and lets them know that essentially that he doesn't want them there any longer, and that he'll be starting that civil process. Is that correct?
Right. And again, back to my previous conversations with Mr. Tim and all this stuff, he's kind of a hothead, if you will, for lack of better terminology. As we can see, Ms. Kudo can be the same. So definitely didn't want that to get out of control, and then that start some kind of violent situation between the two of them.
And on the video, when you initially talked with Ms. Quibido, actually her husband says something about is she going to jail? Is that correct?
Yes.
And then she simply says out of nowhere, before you say anything about warrants, she says, why would I go to jail? I don't have any warrants. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. But then later on in the video, she acts surprised as if these warrants were out of nowhere. Is that correct?
Right.
That's what it is.
Okay. Mr. Boyd, yeah, may this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor, the state rest.
And Mr. Gilthorpe, may this witness be excused?
Yes.
Okay. Officer Verdin, you're excused. You're free to go, and you have a blessed day.
You do.
And the state has arrested. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Gilthorpe? You may go. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, both the state and the defense has rested their case. And so there's a matter that we need to take up. The matter is preparing the court's charge. The charge is the document that has the law that you will be given in your deliberation. So at this time, while we're preparing the charge, we're going to have what is called a charge conference. Please follow the bailiff, stand out in the hallway. And once we're ready we're gonna have you to come back in, and then the court is going to read the charge, and they'll do their closing arguments.
Okay.
You got it, yes. Thank you.
We'll be in recess.